For those with good taste.
Welcome back, Tasties and Tastettes, to another episode of FTWGT Weekly. It's your boy, Lenny. We've got D33 Ray in the building this week.
What's up, guys?
And joined again, as always, with my producer extraordinaire, Dante.
Why don't I get as excited and hyped of an intro? Like, what the fuck?
Well, last week you got mad at me when I started listing nicknames, dude.
Yeah, just because
they
I'm
don't
used
get
to
to
you
see-
trying to offend me.
They didn't see after the podcast where you fucking lashed out at me and yelled at me
That didn't happen.
from in the closet as you were trying to get out.
Let me out.
I don't think he was happy about all them Drake comments.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's watched the video, seen the picture a couple times since, so.
It was against my will.
Yeah, the guy on the computer who had to type it in.
So you had a new background on your phone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Takes
said
up
it
the
as
whole
the
screen.
wallpaper on the computer, too.
Yeah. Jesus. It's to scale now. If you could really quickly before the podcast, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. We would greatly appreciate that. We are jumping into movie reviews galore today. We've got a lot. I have a little bit of news, and we got the taste tests as always. Not really news. I had questions for you guys, but like, not news.
Okay.
Stories, tales, fairy tales.
Ooh, some tall tales?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
I'm confused.
Sit around the campfire?
But let's talk video games, and more specifically adaptations to film of video games. And it seems as though we've regressed about 10 years on video game movies because Borderlands took us back in time to when these movies sucked.
Society
I
definitely
don't want to
took a
say
hit
we
this
went back
weekend.
10 years just because of one bad egg.
This was a big regression.
But think about all the other recent successes we've had, though.
Name them, Dante.
Super Mario, Sonic, not a movie, but Last of Us, Uncharted. I'm running out.
All right, so I could have said take us back 5 years. I said 10. I meant take us back 5 years ago when video game movies were all really bad.
Yeah.
This is like Prince of Persia bad. Right?
Doom with Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yes, at least that had the fucking first person like part of the movie.
Yeah, it had its little shtick.
Yeah, like that was a cool little gimmick that they added in. I'm gonna lean on you heavily, Dave, because like I'm talking from a perspective of like this movie just wasn't that great. You've at least played the games to really get into it. Why it was bad?
Yeah, it kind of felt like it was just Hollywood once again taking a video game IP and stripping everything of the story and that you got to know, grow, and love, and just saying that, hey, we know how to sell movies better than you know how to make video games, and we're going to take your IP and we're just going to do it the way we want to do it, because that's always worked so well in the past, is taking the source material and just carving it up.
Yeah, and this is where I say it's regressed, right? Because like this was the main gripe that I think most people had with video game movies for a very long time, is that you'd have these games that people grew up like idolizing and loving, and these characters, and like then you'd see it get brought to film or to TV or whatever it might be, and it would just be in name only that you were getting the representation properly done.
Yeah, I think it comes with the, like, I guess the mindset where you're obviously making a movie on a video game IP. You're going to have fans who are loyal to that game almost no matter what. You make this movie, they're going to go see it. But now you also want to capitalize on the rest of the general public who don't know about this game. How do you get them in to watch this movie, right? That's where I think this mindset of cutting up the source material and changing it and making it a more palatable movie for like your everyday guy who doesn't know anything about Borderlands or any of these video game movies. And we've just seen time and time again that mindset has just utterly failed.
So you talked to me after we saw the movie about which convention was it?
PAX East.
PAX East. So like you talked to me about the panels and how like that it kind of built some level of excitement for you. Prior to like any panels or anything, just when like you were just playing the games, was this a game that you ever said like this would be good as a movie?
No, I don't think that never came across.
Because I grew up like my favorite game franchise pretty much of all time is Metal Gear Solid. I've
Okay.
always envisioned a world where I got a movie from Metal Gear Solid. And I would even go next step, like Uncharted. I was like, like this would play great as a movie, right? Because they already execute a lot of the premise of what a good movie would have. It has the outlines already there, right?
Well, those are games that are like heavily flushed out with cutscenes,
Yeah,
which
story,
has
yeah.
a story baked into it.
Yeah, and so like that's where I like for the audience that was really into Borderlands from the jump, like was there a level of like I would really like to see these characters brought to film? Like was that a desire that anybody had?
No. So like, I don't think. I mean, we've had 3 or 3.5 games because we had like a prequel as well. So technically, it's been 4 games. The story in all the games has always been kind of just minimal. It's been there, but like the game shines just because of the gameplay itself. Like all the different types of guns and different versions of like ammunition that you can use. I will say that I do think that the games are rich in lore and like background in which like they kind of build the story upon, but the actual overarching missions that you're driving towards, the story of it, it's been just kind of in the background.
So that leads me to like what I think happened here, right? Is like it's a gaming franchise that gained notoriety and popularity as the games released, right? It became more and more popular.
Yep.
To the point where I remember Borderlands 3 coming out and like being a lot of hype around it. And then I think they saw like, 6 or 5 whatever unique characters. And they said to themselves like we can just like cast people that are recognizable in these roles, and we have like the game's a little zany and like funny, right? Like so we can just make it like try to make it funny and have characters that are recognizable, and it'll have like a base level of money that it makes is like really what I feel like happened.
Right. I mean, it's the game is built obviously to be this action shooter, but it has always had just underlines of essentially like kind of toilet humor.
Mm-hmm.
It's always just been kind of like semi-crude comedy. I don't think it's ever. I guess the games are mature, but the I don't think that the like any of the content of the jokes have ever been like rated R worthy. I
Yeah.
guess I don't know.
It makes you think, why didn't Duke Nukem ever get a movie?
Right.
Yeah. Dante, you haven't had much
Same developer,
involvement
by the
yet.
way.
Is it?
Yeah.
Not surprising now that I know that. Did you didn't play the games at all, did you?
No, I didn't.
Did you ever have interest in playing the games?
I think at one point you talked about like all the hype when Borderlands 3 came out, and I was kind of curious, but then I was like, I don't want to just start from 3. I want to get all 3, and then I just never got around to it.
What was the first platform that this came out on? Like Borderlands 1, what was the console?
360 and
360.
PS3. Yeah.
And then was Borderlands 2 also on 360?
Yes.
And then was 3 Xbox One? Was that next
yeah.
gen
So
at that point?
1, 2, and the pre-sequel were all 360 and PS3, and then Borderlands 3 would have been PS4 and Xbox One.
Because I think that's kind of the tough part, like for what you're talking about, Dante, is like when a game comes out, like the third game comes out on the new console, and you're like, well, I'd really like to like understand what's going on and go back and play, but you're like, I don't really want to go back and play like the old console versions of these games, right? Like it's the mechanics are different, the graphics aren't as good, so then you just kind of don't jump into it at all.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. And so like I had like some level of interest, but never went around to it, and then it just kind of faded.
How long ago was this game announced? I mean, this movie announced? Because you talked about PAX East. How long ago was it that they were talking about it at PAX East?
I mean, I want to say they started principal photography about 3 years ago.
Okay.
I believe. So I think the first time that we got the announcement was either 4 or 5 years ago at PAX East.
I feel like when they initially started casting this movie, I probably was like, this probably won't happen, because when you see like Kevin Hart attached to it, especially if it was 3 to 5 years ago, like Kevin Hart's popularity and fame was at a different place than it is today. Not to say that he's not like well liked or very famous any longer, but like I feel like his cachet in Hollywood movie circles right now, as far as like the audience going out to see them, isn't what it was 5 years ago, even.
Right. I agree.
Was there ever a point for you, Dante, like, and this, I guess this is more for me and you, because we didn't have anything to tie us to this franchise before it was announced or before trailers started coming out. Was there ever a point where you were like super interested in this?
Not really. I knew it was a movie we were gonna go see, but nothing really excited me about it, to be honest. I mean, I expected at least some base level like comedy, but not much from it.
I think I was in the same place where like there was never a point in the past, what, like 6 to 7 months when we were starting to get trailers for it and things. For one, I don't think it was like nearly promoted the same way a lot of other movies that we've gotten this year have been promoted. Like, I feel like there wasn't a lot of push behind it, which was probably red flag number one prior to this release, of like they're not very confident about what they have because they don't want to show too much. Like we've seen a ton of fucking movies. How many of these movies did we see Borderlands trailers before? Like, I can't really think of very many.
I mean, there's also a large part of these movies where I'm showing up intentionally late to miss the trailers because I don't want to keep watching the same trailers over and
I don't
over
know.
again,
I've seen, but at least me personally, like I get it. Like, but like I've started showing up like more close to on time recently. So I've been seeing, like, I've been sitting through the same trailers over and over again. Like the new McAvoy movie, like that I've seen the trailer for like 100 times now, like with him, with the family or whatever happening. Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's just like a bunch of movies that I see the same trailers over and over again. And I just feel like they probably weren't very confident to begin with. And then on top of that, like the recognizable cast thing, like just screamed bad to me. Like, and I think getting into the movie more. Update it.
Yep.
Okay.
I was like, wait, what was that sound?
Getting into the movie more, it's like I just don't think it worked. Like, I think that if you had a cast that worked in this movie, it probably ends up in a better place. But I didn't really enjoy any of the characters to like that great of a level personally.
I mean, for me, whatever the robot character was, like, I like that character a little bit.
I didn't.
No?
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I agree and I don't agree.
I think Jack Black worked his ass off.
So I think that's what I agree with, is that I think out of all of the main cast, I think Jack Black took his role as seriously as you could. But man, I hated every second of listening to his voice.
Yeah. Like, I think he was shooting threes the whole game, right? Like, he was playing from behind, trying to catch up, just like throwing any line he could to get laughs out of people. And I just don't think very much of it landed the whole way through. I found like the Kevin Hart thing, I found it to be very difficult to take him seriously as like a combat expert.
Yeah, that was kind of my take, is Kevin Hart needs to stop trying to make action movies.
Like, or just be like when he was doing the Ice Cube action movie, it's like, be the funny guy, dude, in the action movie. Be the Martin Lawrence. Don't try to be the Will Smith, right? Like, and in this movie, he's trying to be the Will Smith. And like, brother, we all know, like,
it's just not you.
They can frame it however they want, and he can put on as much muscle as he wants to, but he's like 5'5", right? Like, he's not an intimidating, imposing like figure for that. And it's almost like, I don't know. I wonder how much of it also is derived from like Guardians too, for why they went this direction and tried to make a movie like this. I wonder if they saw Guardians and were like, we could probably do something like that with this a little bit, right? Because like Rocket Raccoon and fucking the little robot, not that far off, I think, in the terms of what they were trying to archetype that like character to be. And I think that like Peter Quill and Kevin Hart's character, like, as far as being like the funny guy, but like still being able to handle his own fighting, like was kind of where you're angling there. Like Gamora and Kate Blanchett's characters kind of having similar archetypes. Like, I just think there's a lot of similarities there, but with none of the like the soul behind it, and none of the chemistry that the characters have.
Yeah, so like I mean, I agree where I don't think the casting of Kevin Hart was remotely great, or honestly, like any of them.
Well, it's what I was going to say to you, like,
cast
who,
anybody. I don't know if that saves this.
Yeah.
Though.
As the person who has the most attachment to the games, like, was there a character that worked, or an actor that worked in their role? The girl.
So yeah, the girl that plays Tiny Tina, I had a problem with, I think, the original trailer, which was like the scene when they run through Piss Wash Gully and like the piss comes into the car.
One of the funnier parts of the movie.
I didn't care for seeing that scene in the trailer over and over and over. I did not think that she portrayed what Tiny Tina was in the game as like just this incredibly destructive and chaotic girl, like in the games. Watching the whole movie, I didn't leave upset with her portrayal of that role.
Yeah, I thought she was probably the strongest part. And I thought I was gonna not like her when we first got the introduction.
Right.
When they first, like, not on the ship, but when you meet her, after that.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like you very much, but I think she grows on.
She
you
got
in the
better.
movie. Yeah.
Kevin Hart's height didn't really bother me. I don't really care about how tall the actor is.
Because Vin Diesel's only 5'8".
Yeah, portraying Roland. Yeah. I just don't think. I mean, I don't think he took the role seriously enough, or I don't think that obviously the dialogue for everybody was atrocious. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's hard to kind of make like shit smell good. Like
the first like 25 minutes of this movie features like the worst acting and script work I've seen in a movie in a very long time. Like comically bad acting.
Throughout this entire movie, it just felt like a straight-to-streaming movie.
Well, and I had this theory before I saw the movie. I don't believe it as much after I saw it, but I was very confident that it was going to be one of those films where like everybody kind of filmed their stuff individually and was kind of like pasted in together. I think it comes off a little bit more authentic, like they were together after you see the movie, but it doesn't help.
No, I think I shared that same sentiment with you. Watching the movie, I mean, it's obviously very clear that they're shooting all their scenes together for the most part. Mm-hmm. But man, no chemistry between any of them. Yeah. There was no back and forth at any point that just felt true and genuine in a conversation.
Even like the friendship between Kevin Hart and what's his name, the comedian,
Bobby Lee's
character. Like even that, like they're supposed to be like friends.
Right.
They did not feel like friends at all. Like that didn't feel like a genuine friendship. Like I don't even believe that is like real life. Like they've been in like a comedy like room together.
Yeah, I mean, I was excited. I think I knew that maybe Bobby Lee was in this. I probably heard him talking about it on one of his podcasts or something like that.
Friends or something.
But man, he also added nothing.
No, he was and I thought he would show up in that last battle, like towards the end of the movie. Like I thought he just doesn't even show up at all. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I was hoping for some sort of like
he wasn't
obviously
funny,
joke or
really.
Nothing.
Like it. And for him, who doesn't really do very, very much of this, to not have like any standout comedy part, and he's like genuinely a very funny guy. That was disappointing. The last member of the cast that we haven't talked about that I know you had some thoughts on, and I tend to agree, Dave. Cate Blanchett.
Man, casting a 55-year-old woman.
Yeah.
To play what could have been, I think, like a 25-year-old girl in the video games. Don't quote me on that. I really don't remember. That was actually a
question I had was, is the video game character supposed to be as old as
is
depicted? No.
Do you know her? Because like Dante, you're not a big like actor and actress person. Do you know her from movies?
The name I definitely recognize, but I can't put my finger to any movies.
Like she's been around since the early 2000s, late 90s.
22 years old, the character was in the first game. Played by a 55-year-old actor.
Yeah. That one is the most puzzling one as anything. Because it's like, all due respect to Cate Blanchett, good actress. She's not a box office person, right? So it's not like you were attaching yourself to somebody who was going to push the movie to like some better box office realm. So like what was the reason for casting that person? Like, what was the gain there? Like, you could have put anybody in. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't have any actress that comes to mind immediately. But to me, you could have put like a more unknown.
It should have been,
actress.
yeah, an unknown actress who fit the role and just had the skills to, you know, play a 22-year-old female bounty hunter.
Yeah.
Like,
not a mid-50s woman who doesn't even like hasn't even recognized any of like the abilities, like, or like you know, her hasn't recognized her past at all up to that point.
and
you know?
I don't think I can. I can't sit here and say that I know all of Cate Blanchett's like filmography.
Yeah.
But there's not a single role that I can think of that is like a physical,
like an action.
Yeah.
Dante, did you just pull up her IMDb?
Yeah, I had it up.
Is there anything that stands out for action?
No.
I didn't think so, because like even like Lord of the Rings, she wasn't doing
No.
the action stuff. Like,
Nope. I think so. Like, this is one of those things where, I mean, obviously, like, you have a casting director who goes through and like does auditions and watches film and will maybe make casting calls on who they think fits the role well. I feel like I actually just put a lot of this on Eli himself.
Roth.
Yeah, Eli Roth himself. There were several interviews of him over the past couple of years, and even going into like the premiere of this movie, where I feel like it was very clear that Eli Roth wanted to just make an action movie, and 2K and Gearbox were probably just shopping this Borderlands movie out because they wanted to make a movie on one of their IPs, and the two just kind of somehow came together, where Eli Roth has no love or familiarity for this game and its world or any of its characters, and he wanted to just take his own version of an action movie that he wanted to make and just basically had an IP fall into his lap. Through a lot of these interviews, he continuously quotes that he wants to make a movie like Escape from New York or Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and even goes as far as to say is that like he wants his main protagonist to be a Clint Eastwood or Kurt Russell type protagonist.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure he said in an interview that he called up Cate Blanchett and it was just basically like, hey, how about I want you to be my Clint Eastwood. And if you like looking back at the movie, like you can,
no, it makes a lot of sense.
It makes a lot of sense
but
in how she plays her
she
character.
does yes and no, because I think I agree from a strictly age perspective that makes sense. Like this grizzled older person taking, and she's not grizzled, but like that's the character type you're talking about, right? But like she doesn't act that way in this movie. Like I don't feel that from her performance. And also like I don't know that I've seen Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, but I've seen Escape from New York and Escape from LA, and like you're missing like the campy like grittiness and like fun nature that movie has to go along with the action. And like there was an attempt made here, but the execution was nowhere close to like what those movies accomplished.
Right.
You know? Before spoilers, Dante, do you know the last Eli Roth movie we saw?
No.
Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay.
So isn't that a bummer, dude, that like he took a movie like Thanksgiving that had no right to really be like anything, right? Like should have been kind of just a throwaway stupid movie. But I think for both of us last year ended up being one of the more surprising movies that we saw. Right? Yeah. Like was just kind of, but again, like it was campy.
And it's still a bad movie.
Yeah, but it's
a good bad movie.
But it's campy and like stupid and fun, and like the practical effects he used, and like everything kind of worked in that movie to its benefit, even though like the actual premise of the movie wasn't great, to the point where he's going to get a sequel out of it, you know? So like that was another thing where I had a level of expectation of like, we might have something here, because like, at least like, I don't have a lot of faith in this movie, but Eli Roth, I think, has done some stuff that I've enjoyed, you know? And we did not get that. So for that reason, I'm going to go on the do not recommend front. Like to your point, Dante, I think it's fine to watch on streaming. like in your spare time. It's probably a perfectly okay movie to throw on one night when you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
But it's not something that I would go out of my way to pay money to go go see.
One of the things we've said a few times is like the benefit of going to the theater is the way it like traps your attention and kind of really engages you in the movie. I feel like even in the theater, I watch this more as like a streaming movie, breaking in and out of like paying attention to it. Like, I don't think it grasped me that much.
No, there were so many like moments where like in just watching like I'm visibly like eye rolling, like this is like incredibly difficult to watch, and I'm immediately pulled out. Like,
Yeah.
nobody would ever do or say that in that situation, and just immersion is like broken multiple times.
One more thing for casting before we get there, because I had forgot the Jamie Lee Curtis part.
Oh
in
my
this
god!
whole thing.
You know what? She might be the worst actor in the whole damn movie.
What happened to this woman? Because like maybe it's just 'cause I grew up like loving Halloween that so much, so I put her on like a certain like level of actress in my mind. Like I used to think she was like a great actress.
I mean,
And-
she just won an Oscar.
Yeah, so she she's had like she can still do it, but she just picks. She's in everything now.
Yeah.
She just pops up.
She's in everything. Everywhere.
Yeah,
All
at
at once.
Dante, you get it?
It's on my watch list. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, like like why the fuck is she in a Borderlands movie?
Dude, I don't know.
That woman's not played a video game.
No.
None of them. Not just Borderlands. She's not played a video game.
I don't
Why is she
think
in
a
it?
single member of that cast, other than Bobby Lee,
Played the
has played any video game or played Borderlands. Like
Maybe Jack Black.
Jack Black has a gaming channel that he does not play video games.
What does he do? He plays songs from Tenacious D.
Well, they're not a thing anymore. So
Oh, fuck, they got no fight on stage. did they?
yeah,
Was that over 44?
it was. Yeah,
Yeah,
40.
45.
45.
Fuck.
I'll say, like, coming out of that movie, I completely forgot about the character of Tannis in the video game. Like, I left the movie thinking that was a made-up character. I was wrong. She is in the game. But she's, like, kind of like, I guess, this antisocial, just, like shut away, like, tech, like, nerd kind of character. And I feel like Jamie Lee Curtis kind of just took the whole antisocial thing and, I don't know, like sprinkled in like a dash of autism, and it was just like that was the character that she played.
Yeah.
Like all of her dialogue scenes, like it feels like she's just talking into the void because she doesn't want to make eye contact with anybody. Like that's how just awkward her character felt.
Yeah. It didn't work.
No.
Didn't work. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Spoilers.
I'm probably going to lean on you a little bit to start this, Dave, because you, I think, probably took more issue with specifics from game to movie as far as like spoiler, I guess, related stuff. I had one major gripe that I can get into, but like, were there any more specific like scenes or like storylines to this that were like major issues with what they had established?
I think just the main thing in terms of like continuity of this game is like you were missing an entire main character in Mordecai. For any of those who know the video game, because I know you guys don't, the first game had 4 playable characters. You had Lilith, Krieg, Roland, and Mordecai.
Did you have to start a gameplay through as that specific character and play it the whole way through, or could you switch between them as you played through the game?
No, so you're one of those characters basically for your whole playthrough.
Got it.
Yeah. So that character just kind of being left out was really weird, and I think they just substituted that for Tiny Tina, who is not like one of the main cast characters. Throughout your gameplay, she's just a kind of background quest giver, and
which I think probably gives the movie more diversity from a casting perspective. So I don't disagree with maybe the idea to integrate a different look of a character as opposed to just another shooter.
I guess so, yeah. And it kind of, they also just drew and developed the story around.
Well, this is what I was, because like is the premise of the game that you're just a vault hunter?
Yes.
So whereas this, they were trying very hard to say like, Lilith's not a vault hunter. Like that was her whole thing.
I mean,
so they were trying very hard to make this movie about more than like, they wanted it to be more centered around like Tiny Tina and her
Atlas.
Atlas, like more around that story, at least to begin with, and then it turns into more that Vault Hunter thing. And I don't think they could have gotten to that storyline, and they would have had to make a movie that was more strictly just vault hunting, right?
Yeah, because that, like I said, there was very little story to the game.
Yeah.
And it was a looter shooter where you're just, the end goal is to be one of the millions of like vault hunters on this planet, killing things, and obviously you being the protagonist of the game is you eventually do find the vault.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a big. They went very left to the left as far as like, and I think they had to create a movie. It's just like, I don't know if you could have still at least given a nod to the fan base by including that character or some type of mention of that character. And then you wonder, like we talked about this, Dave, like there was probably always the idea that like we make a movie good enough to get a sequel so that we can do Borderlands 2 or 3 or whatever. And maybe you integrate that character later down the line. Now we'll never see that.
This is not getting a sequel.
What does it do for money?
No.
Do you have that?
Yeah. So
I want to say
it
9.
did
Are we at 10 yet?
10 mil worldwide.
What was the budget?
120 mil.
Almost there.
It's like they're not making that.
That's
back.
bad. They're
not
really
even
bad.
making half of that back.
No, it's gonna make like 5 mil this week, probably at best.
I want to go back and also just retcon one of my comments. Mordecai was not the only character that was left out. Actually, Krieg was a DLC character.
Got it.
There was the fourth member was Brick.
Brick Tannenbaum.
Sure. Who was just kind of like another, I guess. Like I don't quite remember the first game all that great. Maybe a decade ago.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he was just kind of another mercenary type.
So like all 4 characters were probably a little too similar to.
Yeah, I guess I can see that. Well, Mordecai had kind of his own niche, which was like he was kind of like a sniper, with like a pet falcon that would kind of he would send out and do things.
Dante, who was the character in Apex that did that? Vantage?
Yeah.
They stole that, I'm sure.
I mean, you also kind of have like Falcon in
Winter Soldier.
Marvel, yeah.
But he doesn't have a bird.
Yeah, he does. He has a little drone.
Oh yeah, drone. Yeah, I was thinking like actual real bird.
No, he doesn't have a real bird.
No, he is a bird.
He is a bird.
Good
yes.
point. It's a very good point.
Birdman.
My issue is this. It goes back to the Cate Blanchett being 55 thing. It was so off-putting to me when they introduced the fact that like her talking to her mother, and she was like very much older than her mother. Like,
well, like, yeah, I agree with that, obviously, but like you're seeing a video of your mother when technically you were a child.
I get that, but wouldn't it have been better if you had cast like an actual 20-year-old girl, like to be like, like it's. I just think it makes that scene more emotionally like a 50-something-year-old woman. I just don't think is going to be impacted the same way. She's dealt with the fact she hasn't known her mom for 50 years.
Yeah.
Like half a fucking century she's gone without this woman. I don't think it hits the same way emotionally as like it's been 18 years of my life. Like, like I'm just now an adult. And I've grown up like she's still dealing with the stresses of growing up without the mother and having to grow up in this environment, as opposed to somebody who's very much established already in what this environment is.
I think what gets me the most about the whole age thing is Cate Blanchett is 55.
Mm-hmm.
Gina Gershon is 62. Gina Gershon plays Mad Moxie. Like the bartender girl.
Yeah,
the full getup with the white makeup. And it's very clear that like Mad Moxie knows her mother in the past, saying that, hey, like I knew your mother, like she always said you were going to be this special guy. Like I think like it's implied that she knows who Lilith is.
Yes.
So only
they basically confirmed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So but them being close to basically the same age or 7 years apart makes no sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this should have been like an 80-year-old woman.
Or no, like Gina Gershon could have been fine if your
You
main
cast
character was 22 years
younger
old.
person.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess the only other thing from like a spoiler perspective, like the whole end of the movie. First of all, did you guys like? You already knew the reveal was coming, like
Right.
Dante, how do you feel about like it not being Tiny Tina and it was Lilith who was like the key?
I mean, by that point, I'd gone through so much agony in this movie. It was just whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this is what we're doing. Cool.
I was so I didn't the
old bait
reveal
and switch.
The reveal was fine. I hated every moment of Lilith having those powers. I was just watching the Dark Phoenix saga like all over again. Basically, was like
I got that too, especially with the fireworks scene.
Yeah, like everything about it was like her powers. Like it was just in like the Dark Phoenix is like the worst X-Men movie that you could have tied into somebody's imagery. So I'm like, you're taking a terrible movie and this is a bad movie and you're just associating yourself further with bad movies for me. And then Atlas, as far as like villains, is like such a nothing villain for the mere fact that like you see him, you see him once and it's at the, like physically see him, the character, and it's at the end of the movie. He doesn't really have much of an imposing part to like any of it before that. So it didn't really work. So there was no like, it just didn't feel imposing or
They didn't
villainous.
give you any
like,
tie to any of the characters at all.
Yeah, like on the opposite, like it's really just those core, like your core group of like the Vault Hunters.
But I'm saying even the core group, like I had no emotional investment to the characters at all. Like they didn't build any of that.
Yeah, I think that they thought they built that.
Yeah,
I'll at least give them the credit that I think they thought they built.
I think the most emotion that you kind of got out of any character is when Tina is actually explaining her past and how like cruel Atlas was as a father to Lilith.
Yeah.
I think it was the only time that like there was any sort of sympathy that I had for any single character.
Yeah, I think that goes back to the point where like that was probably the character that was the best in the movie, because even like her like seeing Lilith talk to him on the little like hologram, and like I'm like, I think you feel a little bit there. Like I think that their relationship was probably the most interesting of the movie. But it did like still wasn't enough to make it passable. Yeah.
No.
And then going into the vault, like that vault is like people are fucking fighting to get into this thing. I thought there was gonna be like treasure or some shit in there. There's nothing.
Or like a source of power or something.
Well, I guess that's what they're telling you is in there, right? Is like
right.
Like he can make all these inventions, but it's just floating black shit.
Yeah,
like,
the imagery given of what this like supposed like vault of like crazy ancient technology that like is supposed to be just stored. Yeah, it's just like floating cubes and then a hole with a tentacle.
Yeah, like it like what was this for? Yeah, like there's no description as to like what power he gets out of that room. Like what those cubes are. Like at least show us something that room could have done while you were in there. Rather than it really being a 2-second kind of throwaway thing to make a joke about him dying.
Right.
Right? Like any other spoiler stuff, cuz I don't really have much more. This movie's pretty bad.
I mean, like I was saying before, like I really just don't think that any of these characters like took their role or job seriously. I think other than the fact that like I looking back on Cate Blanchett's character and like now like seeing her try to portray like whatever her version of like Clint Eastwood is, like, dude, I think after the whole piss wash gully scene when like the tire is broken off and like they're trying to fix that tire, like it's the dialogue was awful. Like I don't know. Had I not been an A-list member and I paid money for this, like I felt like I could have just walked out of the movie at that point.
You would ask for a refund.
Like there's Kevin Hart, like Roland pulls a gun on Lilith and it's like, all right, cool. Like that's the end of the line for you. Thanks for helping us get away from like that little army. But like, we don't trust you. You can be on your way. Because clearly her intentions of being there was to take the girl. That was originally like what she was doing. And at no point had like other than like running away from this army who's now like shooting at you by happenstance because they don't know who you are. Her goal and objective is technically still, hey, I'm going to take this girl and get my money. At least from Roland's point of view.
Yeah.
Pulls the gun on her, and she gives this awful speech, like, basically, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, like, you're stuck with me now. And then he just, no emotion, no care, no intensity, like, you have a gun in a woman's face, like, you could shoot at any point. It's like, oh, no, we're just going to put the gun away, and like, oh, I guess you're part of the crew.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah, you're good now. Yeah, glad we got this out of the way.
Yeah.
This part of the script. Bang this one out. On to the next.
Wrap. Man, and like I gotta say,
like, you know what?
Yeah.
Just the breakdown of that scene alone makes me feel like it's not so much the cast to blame as it probably is the direction and the writing.
I think it's both, but
All
yeah.
three, yeah.
But like I said, like there's only so much you can do with absolutely terrible dialogue.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, and then a lack of care or understanding to what the characters like were actually like.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Just a miss all around. I want to say I gave it 1.5 stars. I might have been more generous. I don't know. I can't remember. I'll look.
Check it
Dave, is it ranked second to last or last on your list?
I guess I have it technically second to last.
Oh, okay. It's still better than Madam Web for you, huh?
Dude, there's no way this is better than Madam Web.
I don't know.
wasn't
So
for
like
me.
I might
Actually, I
might
did put it ahead of Madam Web. I take that back.
like I think to your point, Lenny, like you made this point after we left the theater, like I think that this movie might be slightly better than Madam Web, but
As a
I would
movie.
probably still sit down and rewatch Madam Web before I rewatch this.
Yeah, the thing I said to Dave after the movie, like in years, a couple of years ago now, we did like end of year trivia. I think I want to do an award show at the end of this year, and this is the first nominee for an award, and it's going to be the movie that was just there this year. Like it just existed, it happened, and I think that's where I tend to agree, and I think that's why I put it in front of Madam Web, because I think on Madam Web had way more flaws, right? Like visual issues, like whether it was the ADR, whether it was just like storyline issues, fucking everything was bad about that movie, but it at least made you feel something, right? Like Madam Web's gonna be a memorable movie. Like if they were still doing Razzies, I don't know if they're still doing Razzies. Madam Web's winning like all the Razzies because it elicited that type of reaction that made people want to like hate watch it. Like people saw it weeks afterwards because they had heard how bad it was, and they were like, "I need to get in on this." Nobody's gonna get in on Borderlands.
No, this is the kind of movie that's bad that it just disappears.
This is a movie a few years from now that you're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, that came out." Yeah. So
Yeah.
I gave it 2 stars because I think it had enough there, but it was still very bad.
Now, I got a question for you guys, because obviously we've trashed the casting, we've trashed the dialogue. How did you guys feel about this as an action movie?
There's nothing standout to it. I think the one standout action, I think the underground cavern was probably the best action in the movie.
The Caustic Cavern scene with all like the elevated psychos.
Yes, yeah. I thought there was some stuff there that kind of worked for me a little bit. And I think maybe one of the funnier scenes was like the robot in that whole scene there, like having to be sent out as the bluff so that they could the distraction, and then him having to shit out bullets was whatever,
I don't know. So I feel like obviously the whole claptrap part where he basically spews out the toilet humor dialogue that Tiny Tina gives him.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty fitting to the game.
Yeah.
I just Jack Black's voice as Claptrap was like nails on a chalkboard for me.
Because you're this is Jack Black the whole time.
I hated it. Any single time his voice came up, I wanted to cover my ears. And then that scene in particular, where and the whole scene then where he's basically defecating bullets, also very on par with the game.
Mm-hmm.
But you have Claptrap standing in front of you with 0 bullet holes, just full of
Well,
bullets.
he shed his skin.
I got that, but he still didn't have any bullet holes. That was also really weird. I don't know what.
He just shed a
Yeah,
layer.
he
He's
just
a
like
snake.
just popped off. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really didn't like the action scenes down in that.
Really?
Costa
So was
Campus.
there any action scene you liked?
It
then?
was so confusing and convoluted. You couldn't really see who was doing what. The camera was constantly just panning way too quick.
I'm thinking more like that hallway fight with like Craig and Kevin Hart's character had some stuff
Like
in it that was a little more focused.
I guess that one's a little more focused. Yeah, when you have Krieg with his like axe swinging away and then they're like busting the pipes.
Because I
and
agree
stuff
when
like
they
that.
were in the little loot area, that it was just a lot of like shooting people who were aimlessly jumping at them.
Right.
Yeah. But I thought it got better when it got into like the hallway scene.
And then you want to talk about another scene where like I have no investment in the characters, like Roland's self-sacrifice to let the team basically go up the elevator. Couldn't care.
No, it was
Like
terrible.
you're watching that scene, I'm like, he's in no danger. Like,
He's gonna live.
He will
so there's
live and
no
get out of
tension.
this.
And like it didn't make sense how he lived really either, because all he had was that bomb, and like if they got close enough to him that they were all on top of him like that, like when he gets like when they show him alive.
How are they all dead on top of you? Like you're not
Yeah.
not holding a gun anymore. Like underneath all these people, no sense.
Yeah, it didn't work.
So stupid. And then I mean, just like plot hole on top of that. Like the whole team, like other than Roland, like teleports out away, and you got Tanis now who combines the keys, finds the map of the vault, and then they're all on their way to find this vault.
Mm-hmm.
Roland has none of that information.
Yeah, but he said he'd find them at the vault.
But
Yeah.
shows up at the vault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That worked. That worked very well. Yeah.
Yep.
I had this it's at 44. Yeah, for me.
44. Oh, out of your movies.
Yeah.
Sure.
It landed at, where is it? 41 for me.
I think it's at 15 of 16 for me.
Yeah. So, on a scale, we're all pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did put it behind Madam Web.
Did you?
Yeah.
Because Madam Web made you feel something, right?
I think Madam Web was just a more fun movie. I know it's still not a good movie, but I think it's more enjoyable than this movie.
I agree. All right. So, on to the next review.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is so much a review as much as a story time, I think. And that's why we had to invite Dante to this side of the camera. We teased this a couple weeks ago that we were going to see the most embarrassing thing that we've ever seen. The most embarrassing movie experience we're ever going to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't say it wasn't, because arguably for you, it was more embarrassing than it was for me.
It's fine. I'll work through it. But
let's paint a picture for the people. So we're talking about, we went to ladies' night.
Girls' night out.
Shit, I always fuck that up. We went to girls' night out.
Yeah.
We were gonna go see It Ends With Us.
That's insane. Sorry, we're distracted. Dave just whipped out a cookie the size of his head.
Yeah. And Bailey's like intrigued now. So yeah, we went to girls' night out. We saw It Ends With Us, which that at its core. So if it was just we went and saw It Ends With Us, that's not really that crazy for
It's
me.
not out of pocket for us, yeah.
For me or Dante, like we would do that. Adding the moniker Girls' Night Out in front of it instantly made it way more like suspect.
So the thing is too is like they sometimes add like fun names or whatever to like the early screenings, but I didn't really think anything of it. Did you?
When I saw how many tickets had been purchased 2.5 weeks out for this, I was a little worried.
Okay,
That's why I knew, because I was like, it's not like dudes are buying all these tickets this early. Like the theater was already almost sold out when we got our tickets, and that wasn't because of guys. So like I already had an idea, and also again, I'm a reader. I read the book, so like
You listened.
So I was aware of what this was gonna be.
Yeah.
So I kind of had a good idea. So, but nothing really compared to like when I got into the belly of the beast for this one. So like to set the stage a little bit, I showed up first. I got there like I got there at like 6:55, and I stroll in, and like Dante's not there yet, and I walk into like the entryway to the movies, and there is just like
A sea.
a sea of women, of all ages, all shapes and sizes. There's just women everywhere.
Yeah.
Is there a problem with that?
Nah. Let's move right on. Yeah.
So yeah, the whole entryway is just a sea of people, all basically women.
Not basically. By the time I got in, it was 100% all women.
Yeah, so I texted Dante like immediately, and I was like, "This is bad. Like this is really, really bad." And like I go and I just order a drink, and I was so self-conscious at this point that I order the drink, and I don't even go into the theater. I stood just like right out in front,
Trying to act like you weren't going to see what you were going to see.
Yeah, I was like looking around. I was on my phone. Maybe people thought I was waiting for a girl. I don't know. I was trying to play it any way I could play it, basically. And so I texted him again. I don't know. I think I was just like, yeah, dude. There's like we're the only ones. We're on our own here.
Yeah.
And there's a group of girls in front of the doorway to enter the movie. So I'm like, I can't go in. Like, I don't want to have to like say excuse me to this pack of like 4 girls guarding the door so I can walk in here. So I had to wait till they went in. I finally go in, I sit down, and I'm again texting him, like live tweeting my experience, because I'm like, this is packed. Everywhere around me is just women. I feel like they're just looking at me, like staring at me the whole time. And so like Dante's will go, I'm about to find out. So he's like, I'm on my way in. And so I'll give my perspective, and then I'll let you give your perspective to this. So
Yeah.
I'm sitting in there, and like the trailers start playing, and these people walk behind me. These girls walk behind me, and I swear I hear them say something about like, wow, like they're like, I heard like blah blah blah, like even here for like like girls' night out. And I'm like, fuck, they're talking about me. like I'm like, shit, they're talking. Oh, man, like, yeah, I'm already, because like I'm the first thing they're seeing is like this solo dude in the back of this fucking this movie. And so I'm like, fuck, this is awkward. And I'm like not looking left or right. I'm just staring at my phone the whole time. So Dante walks in, and I'm like, dude, I think somebody just made fun of me. And he was like, oh, what happened? So I tell him what happens, and he's like, oh, who was it? And I point over to these 2 people. And do you want to pick up on the story from here, Dante? Like what it looked like? How was it for you entering the theater up until this point?
So I walk into the theater, and very much exactly like Lenny said, it's just women everywhere. I feel like the only man in the world. And I get in this mile-long line for concessions. And here I am waiting to get my drink and popcorn. And right before I get called up, I just hear my name, Dante. And I go, what? And I look, and there's these 2 girls I know. And they go, oh my God, what are you doing here? What are you here to see? And I was like, it ends with us. And they go, oh my God, no way. And blah, blah, blah. We catch up. They walk away. I go get my shit. What I didn't realize is, as they were walking in, they might have said something about me, because when Lenny points out the girls that were talking shit, it was the girls I knew.
So they walked away from Dante, and immediately we're walking to the theater like, I can't believe this dude's going to see It Ends With Us on Girls' Night Out. And that's what I overheard as they walked by. So I'm like, I looked at Dante, and I was like, well, like,
I think it's hilariously on brand, but like at the same time, like, damn, of course you would catch that.
yeah, I was like, and I was just like, well, like, do you know them pretty well? He was like, yeah, we're pretty cool. And I was like, well, like, do they know the type of friends like that are gonna just make fun of you endlessly for this? And he was like, yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, worst case scenario.
Yeah.
That's worst case scenario. Tell him it was for the podcast. It's for work. That's
I
the only
immediately
reason.
flipped to that one too.
Yeah, I was there for work, man. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, check out
It's
the
my
review.
part-time job, you know.
Yeah, check out. It's a full-time job right now, actually.
Fair.
So it's just like, just kind of, spin it that way. Like, tell them to check out the channel. We'll be talking about them. They'll probably get a shout out. So,
Yeah.
and like, for the record, you've had the worst stretch with this, because we're not even talking about like a few weeks ago when you tried having somebody scan this ticket to go into the movies. So everything about this experience for you has like been like bottom
Bad, yeah.
yeah, like the worst kind of embarrassment that you could experience from it.
Yeah. No, it was definitely pretty awkward.
Yeah. That's the most exciting part of this review, by the way. It's is the build up to the actual movie.
The other funny
itself.
thing is the second the end credits rolled, we
Oh,
bolted out of there.
Yeah. I told you, I leaned over to Dante and I was like, hey, listen, like, I'll know at the end of this movie. Well, I was like, we got to leave before the lights turn on. You were like, well, what if there's a post credit? And I was like, I will know how this movie ends if there's a post credit or if there's not a post credit, because there's one specific scene that they could have used either as a post credit scene to set up a sequel, or they could have just ended with this. And they ended it that way. And I was like, we gotta go.
We out.
Go. We were through the doors to the outside of the building before people were out of that theater.
Yeah, I look back, nobody had came through the doors.
Yeah, I've never left the theater so fast in my life, dude. I've hated movies and I've left before the movie's over and I've gotten out slower than I did to this.
Yeah.
The movie itself, I do want to talk about a little bit because I don't know if you've seen, there's a lot of drama around this movie.
Oh no, I didn't know.
And I don't know how much of it is drummed up to kind of create like interest. You know, it could be some of that. So the person who directed the movie is the same guy who played Ryle.
Oh.
So he directed this movie, right?
Okay.
And people started noticing, like right before the premiere of this, like the Hollywood premiere or whatever, New York premiere, wherever they premiered it, that he wasn't being followed by any of the people on the cast any longer. Like on any social media, like none of them were following him. He wasn't like, they weren't tagging him. He wasn't tagging them. He was just tagging like the It Ends With Us like Instagram page, not the actual cast members or anything. So people started being like, well, red flags, what's going on here, you know? And so then I became interested in it. So I started trying to figure out what's going on there.
Yeah.
'Cause I didn't know that he directed it on top of everything else. And basically the synopsis that most people have, and he's kind of commented on this a little bit since, is that they asked him if he would direct the second one. And he was just like, no, I wouldn't. And he was like, I think that he's like, I think Blake should probably direct it. It's like, you know, she's probably ready to take on a step. And I had seen some comments from Blake Lively about asking like Ryan Reynolds for thoughts, and like he had given thoughts on certain scenes that could be done differently and stuff. And from what it seems like is she was very much involved with like the direction that this movie took and like was very vocal in a lot of it. And it probably rubbed him the wrong way because he's the director. But at the same time, like all the other actors also don't follow him. So I think that he maybe didn't handle it the best way also maybe on set, and somehow in the post-production stuff probably didn't handle it the best way, to the point where it rubbed everybody the wrong way. And it's like, nobody's saying like hurtful things. Like there's a video, I haven't watched it, but I think there's a leaked video of like a fight that they had on set, like an argument that they had. But yeah, so there's definitely something there that's going on from behind the scenes of this. And it makes a lot of sense. Like this feels very much like it's Blake Lively's film, right? So like I'm not surprised. She's the biggest actress in the movie. She's the focal point of the entire movie, that she would be very much in control. But I think that that's where it's like, well, why would you guys hire a director who is also starring in the film? That's kind of weird, right?
What decision was made first?
It's a good question. But if he was the director, did he cast himself? You know, like how do you end up getting to that point? And maybe that's the next thing I have to kind of look into. But I thought that's kind of interesting. The movie itself, as a person again who's read the book,
you listened.
I thought that the casting for this was fantastic.
Okay.
And and part of it could be that like I read the book after I saw the trailer.
So you were envisioning the same character.
So I had the faces in mind, at least, when I was like reading it. But at the same time, like her best friend, like Ryle's sister and like best friend. Also, just 3, 2, 1. We're not going to spend a ton of time on this, so I will just kind of free ball this one. I got to take some manliness back from this experience.
Yeah.
So she's like fantastic. The only thing I'll say is there's just not enough. Like in the movie's 2 hours long, so there's like it's a pretty long movie for this genre. but it's still like there's just so much stuff for me that like could have had more detail, or there's just more stuff that builds the relationship between Lily and her and the girl best friend there.
Yeah,
like
you were telling me like there's some pretty big details they left out, and then also just it wasn't as graphic as it was in the book.
Well, into the graphic part, I think there's two different parts to that, right? It's weird, like having in the past year, I've watched like the 50 Shades movies, which are obviously very, very graphic in terms of like the sexuality that they use.
Yeah.
And the book for this is very graphic in its descriptions of like the sex scenes between Ryle and Lily, to the point where like I've said it a million
you're
times.
listening to this in audiobook form.
Yes.
You like turn down the radio.
Well, so I've said this story a few times. Like I've had a lot of awkward moments listening to those books where I pull up to a stoplight and like I'm like, this is what's happening right now. Like, holy shit. Like, I'm like, oh damn, they're going there. Like I'm like saying shit to myself while it's happening. And I'd say the sex scenes in this are pretty tame.
Yeah.
Overall, which this movie has an R rating, does it, or is it PG-13?
Remember actually.
That was the only thing.
I think it would make sense for it to have an R rating.
Yeah, it felt like they could have done more there, and I think some of that because the way that the chemistry is described between Ryle and Lily in the books,
it's actually PG-13.
Yeah, so I guess that's, and they probably didn't want to turn off a chunk of the audience that they weren't going to get if they went full R rating.
They probably wanted to open up to like the teenage girl following and all that.
Well, yeah, I have to imagine that's what they wanted, but at the same time, like, I don't know, 50 Shades made a ton of fucking money and was okay with being itself, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that this movie could have afforded to just go fully R-rated with some of it. And maybe there's like a director's cut or like some type of second cut that'll come out that has more of a graphic aspect to it. And it's not so much the sex, it's even building into like the physical aspects, because for people who don't know what the book's really about or the movie's really about, a lot of it's about like domestic violence. You know, it's a lot of it's about being like where do you draw the line on abuse in a relationship, and showing how hard it is, I guess more specifically for a female to like remove themselves from that process. And like the whole premise of why it's called It Starts With Us is because like
it ends with us.
Yeah, it ends with us. The second book is called It Starts With Us. Sorry.
Yeah.
So the reason it ends with us is like she's ending the cycle because her whole childhood she watched her father abuse her mother, and her mother never left or never did anything to improve the situation, and she always told herself she wouldn't be in a relationship like that, and then found herself in that relationship and not removing herself. And basically in her head, what they do a good job in the movie, I think, of doing is showing you how she had visualized like things that were happening in their relationship as not being as bad as they were, or like
she
telling
was tricking herself to perceive them as accidents when they weren't.
Yes, exactly. Right. Like, and I like that that's how they kind of culminated the whole like story of that. And in the book, they're a little bit more upfront about, because of the way they describe things, of like, no, he did intentionally hit her in the kitchen, or like her slowly realizing, like as she's putting back together the pieces on the staircase, that he did push her on the staircase, you know, and like the final thing that gets her into the hospital in the book is far more like it's pretty uncomfortable in the movie, to be fair to them. But like I think it's even more so, and she has
very R-wordy.
Yes, yeah, which it is that in the book, but in the book it's also physical too. Like he hurts her more than what she's hurt in this. So I don't know. What did you, as you, again, another thing where like you obviously had less to know before you walked into this.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really even fully know what the movie was. Like, you told me, hey, there's this pre-screening for this movie. It's down our alley, like, just buy the ticket. And I was like, sure. I never looked up anything on it. I really didn't know anything other than Blake Lively was in it.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, I didn't have like a pre-expectation of it, I guess.
Yeah.
But all in all, I thought it was a pretty good movie. I mean, I don't have the book to compare it to, and I understand that the book sounds like it was probably a better experience than the movie. But
the book's always going to have more context to it. I said this to you right when we walked out. Like the book was 8 hours of audio, right, as opposed to a 2-hour movie. So there's just a lot more there.
Yeah.
you know. But like, did you think that like the 2 hour length was good? Did you think it was too long, too short?
At no
anything?
point did I feel it was too long. Like, I actually, if anything, liked the length of it because I feel like they gave me more context that way.
Yeah, you got to know
versus-
the characters better. Right?
Yeah, versus trying to cut it down to like an hour 40 or something like that, and then like you lose even more than what you already lost from the
Mhm.
book, and then it just kind of won't make as much sense. I feel like.
And it's a movie that, but despite its length, it does cut out a decent amount, and it time jumps a lot. Like you jump like months into the future, and I guess that's one small gripe. I wish they did a better job for like the audience that's maybe not as familiar with like the story to let you know that those time jumps were happening, right? Because like you'd have to use like visual cues, like how pregnant she was and stuff like that to know.
Yeah, but I think the visual cues were enough for me to pick up on that, where it
Yeah.
wasn't disorienting.
Yeah, but it would just be like one scene, it's like this, and then the next scene, it's like a couple of months later,
Because like for
or whatever.
the
it is.
example you used when she's like pregnant, it was just like, oh fuck, all right, that much time has passed.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like
Because
you
it went
haven't-
from her finding out she was pregnant to all of a sudden she looks like she's about to pop.
and it doesn't really show like the turmoil that she's going with of like him trying to see her so much. Like there's a couple times where her phone rang and like she looks at it and doesn't answer,
Yeah,
and that's kind of how you're left to interpret she's avoiding him. But you don't know, they don't tell you like when he goes there to build the crib that it's been however many, like, she's very pregnant at that point.
Yeah.
Like, and he hasn't seen her really at all,
No.
up until that point. So yeah, I wish there was maybe a way that they could have done a better job of telling you like the time that has passed to get to these points. But yeah, overall, like I thought Blake Lively was fantastic. Like I thought
I think the whole cast.
yeah, both Ryle and Atlas played their roles like very well to the point where like Ryle is very like it's almost perfect, right? Like where he's very, very likable on the surface. Like he's a funny guy, successful guy. Like you understand why she is drawn to him,
Yeah.
the way that she's drawn to him. But then also the way that they show these types of relationships work is that like the way they react in behind closed doors. Let me ask you this: did it click to you when the sister finally tells a story about what happened to their little brother? That's the story that he told at the very
At the
beginning. Of the movie?
yeah. I
Yeah.
picked that up.
There's one other thing like that they didn't do a good job at the very beginning. How he was like get off the roof and stuff like that. Like don't be over the edge.
Yeah.
They didn't really like in the book. He tells why he's like somebody fell off of this roof and like died, and like that's why he was very dead set on her not like
being up
sitting like that on the
Yeah.
edge of the roof and stuff. And like they just didn't really like feel the need to include that. Like, and there's like little details stuff like that, I guess, that you just don't get for time reasons. But yeah, like I thought like each character had good layers, and I think like the Atlas character was you get enough of him to understand who he is as a character.
Yeah.
But for me, at least, knowing like there's a whole second book, there's still a lot more to flesh out about his character.
Well, I mean, I guess now we can jump to like this movie. I think did really well, so like we'll probably get a second movie.
Yeah, what's
of
the revenue at?
I think it was at 50 mil so far.
Is it still up on one of the
Yeah,
tabs?
yeah,
Dave, can you which tab with box office?
yeah. It should be the third tab. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's at actually 79 mil worldwide.
Already.
Yeah, and then 2 tabs over should be the budget.
Yeah. So
yeah.
we're gonna get the second book.
Yeah.
I'd have to imagine, as long as like they settle whatever issues, because I would not want to see a world where like they recast like the Ryle character. or
No,
anything.
I hope they don't recast because
Yeah.
I think that kills it. Also, like, if this becomes something that like Blake Lively has to like debut as a director,
Mhm.
I don't know how strong that comes out.
I think that it quite different than like Borderlands, what we were just talking about, where it
Yeah.
was like those people had no knowledge of the source material. I think watching this, I felt very much that she loved
She read the book. Yeah.
the book,
Yeah.
and felt that this was and she's not doing a ton of movies, so like
True.
I think that her choosing this to be like her kind of step back into Hollywood, into a leading role, like I think, to me, I would trust her. She has a pretty good vision, and I know that Colleen Hoover, the person who wrote the book,
Yeah.
was very much involved in the production.
That's always good.
of
Whenever
this.
they do a book adaptation, if they include the author, like it usually gives you a better product.
Yeah, I know she was at the premiere, took a ton of pictures. Like I know she's very much included That's the other thing with the drama. Like, you know, at the beginning of a premiere, they'll have like the cast come up to the front and like talk about the movie.
Oh yeah.
He wasn't even up there for that. Like
Oh, shit.
like Ryle, yeah, the director. It was like Blake Lively, Colleen Hoover, and maybe one other person, but he wasn't included in that at all. So there's definitely like something there. But you're probably a year or two away from like a sequel happening.
I'm
so
hoping
there's
they
plenty
can
of
settle
time.
it by then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we don't need to really go much further on this. I highly recommend it to lovers of like the, you know, not this has like a rom-com. The first half is very rom-com. The second
half is very not calm.
Yeah, it's much more drama oriented. But I kind of like the diversity in the movie and how it has
You
a
almost
couple
get
of
two
different
movies in one
identities.
kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, you know, you have a few different things that you can latch onto in it. So yeah, for me, I highly enjoyed it. I thought everybody executed really well. I have it at 3.5 stars right now. I may
Yeah.
even be interested in jumping it up to 3.5, but I dropped it in at 16.
Wait, you have it at 3 or 3.5?
3 stars, and I
Okay.
might want to jump it up to 3.5.
You said you have it at 3.5. Want to jump up to 3.5? And I was like,
Yeah, no, my bad. I have it at 3, might want to jump it up to 3.5.
So I also have it at 3. I don't know. I mean, I figured you would have it lower than me because I felt like it didn't execute the same as the book, but
I really
liked it a lot.
I just really enjoy the book a lot, so I enjoy this like story, and I like Blake Lively a lot. Like, no, I enjoyed the movie very, very much, and I know better than to just be like, well, it wasn't as good as the book, so I'm gonna like take something away from it. Like, Harry Potter is not the same in the book as it is in the movie. Like, there's a lot of similarities, but they lose a lot in there too, right? Like, that's just kind of what happens. So I'm okay with that.
Okay.
So yeah, I have it at 16. Where did you have it at?
I have it at 17, so we're not too far off there.
Right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's the best, pretty much the best like rom-com drama that I've seen this year. The only one that I think there's an argument, I know you have it lower, but I have it higher, is Challengers.
Yeah, we won't get into that again, but yeah, it's a lot lower.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah. It's still also 3 stars. My 3 stars is pretty stacked right now.
Yeah, it's what I think I have the most in 3 stars, pretty much, of anything.
Mostly everything is 3 and 2.5.
3 and 3.5, maybe for me. I don't know. No, I don't have a ton of 3.5 actually.
Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah.
I'm back, y'all.
So speaking of box office success and piggybacking off of what we talked about last week, where we went through the highest grossing movies list, I had a new one pop up this week, and I wanted to see if you guys could rattle these off really fast for me.
God.
Really fast? No.
Because we did so great last week, right?
We got there in the end.
Can you guys name the 8 films post-COVID that have passed $1 billion in the worldwide box office?
8 films. Was Super Mario one of them?
Yes.
All right.
Was Way of Water?
That's 2.
Did Dune surpass $1 billion yet?
No.
No, I didn't.
No, because Dune 2 only did like 750, I believe.
Shit, I'm running out.
8 films, $1 billion.
What else has come out?
See, now, like, I didn't go to the movies all that much during this time frame.
$1 billion is a lot of money, though.
$1 billion is a lot of money.
You want your first clue?
Yeah.
2 movies have come out this year.
Oh, Inside Out.
Yeah, there's a third movie. Yeah.
And Deadpool has that? No.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That crossed $1 billion already?
Yeah.
Just did. Yeah.
Holy
That's
shit.
why this popped up. Yeah.
That's insane.
So you're halfway.
No other animated.
Nope.
Did the Spider-Man 3?
Spider-Man what?
The third, Tom Holland.
Yes. You want
No
to?
Way Home.
Thank you, Don.
Yeah, thank you.
So there's 5. We got 3 more left. Who said we weren't going to do this fast, guys? Look at this. We're ripping.
What else do we got? Is there more Marvel?
No.
No.
Okay.
I'm surprised you haven't guessed one of them so far.
Me?
Is any of the
Either one of you.
I don't think Jurassic Park or any of them
No,
has
but
it.
it is a monster movie. I think it's one of the Godzillas now.
I didn't see any of them, so I don't know the names of the movies. But yeah,
Is it Park? Jurassic
sure.
World.
Oh,
Dominion.
there we go.
Ah,
Dominion. There you go. Yeah, that one has made over $1 billion.
Really?
Yeah, so
Huh.
there's 6 guys. I kind of gave you that one a little
I
bit.
say,
but, like,
I said it.
yeah, but you were like, it wasn't one of them. You said it
Yeah,
wasn't.
yeah.
Well, that was me asking.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have brought it
Okay.
You're not allowed to ask.
up.
I'm shocked that you haven't guessed. Well, these last 2 are very obvious.
Well, dude,
By
when
the
you
way.
drop these quizzes on me, my brain shuts down.
Well,
so.
it's just like when you show me just eyes or some shit on a picture.
I guess.
And I only say I'm surprised because like one was a pretty big deal from a marketing perspective,
Marketing.
and then the other one, some might say, saved the cinema.
I mean, Inside Out saved the cinema this year.
No.
I didn't say it was this year. I said
It
just
got saved.
we're talking about
before.
post-COVID saved the cinema.
Shit.
Fucking would still be with the third Star Wars movie. I think that was pre-COVID, anyways.
I am blanking hard.
Saved cinema? No, dude. Yeah,
I like the tough thing is like as far as giving you guys clues,
It's-
I'll just it's gonna
It gives it away.
it would
yeah.
very much give away if I give the marketing thing for a movie that made a ton of money. There was one really, really big marketing campaign on a movie in the past like year and a half. Might have been on a couple of movies in the past year and a half, but one of them made a ton of money.
I don't pay attention to
But you
marketing.
saw at least half of the equation for this, for why it did so much money. And I know you did.
Damn.
And the other one is like one of the best pieces of film that's ever come out.
Mission Impossible.
You're getting closer.
I hope you're not saying
Top Gun?
Fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Top Gun.
Top Gun Maverick.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Saved the theater. Like,
Yeah.
everybody says that, and it made a fucking ton of money.
It was a great fucking movie.
Yeah. And then the last one, we're at 7 out of 8. Marketing campaign.
Ugh.
There was another movie that came out around the same time that they marketed it with.
Oppenheimer.
Not that one.
Barbie.
Barbie.
Okay.
Oppenheimer didn't hit $1 million?
$1 billion. No, it didn't.
$1 billion?
Nope. So Barbie, Avatar, Spider-Man, Top Gun, Jurassic World, Super Mario, Inside Out, and Deadpool. Your 8 movies to cross $1 billion worldwide since COVID.
Damn.
Heck yeah. Nice job, guys.
Damn.
You guys got that. I'll give you like 5 out of 8 all by yourselves, which is pretty good for you guys being like, you weren't going to guess any of them.
I saw all but one.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing where you're like, yeah, I haven't seen them. Like, if they made $1 billion,
You've probably seen it.
I don't know. Other than like you talking up Jurassic World a couple of times here,
Dominion sucks though. It's
would not
terrible.
have said that any of those movies
Yeah.
was close to $1
No,
billion.
they did very well, but Dominion's very bad. I hate that movie,
I've only seen the first one out of the new crop.
which is by far the best.
But I will say is that the Velocicoaster down in Universal, Florida,
It hits different.
I haven't been on a whole lot of roller coasters, but best roller coaster I've ever been
You haven't
on.
been on a whole lot of roller coasters?
I haven't been to a whole lot of amusement parks, so I guess
love
no.
roller coasters.
I think I went on it like 10 times in the span of 2 days.
Damn.
How many times have you been to Disney?
Twice in the last year.
Before
Damn.
that, not really, though?
Maybe once as a child and then once as a 13-year-old, yeah.
And you didn't ride roller coasters any of those times?
I did. But like, dude, Disney isn't really roller coaster heavy. It's,
And you're not a Six Flags.
it's amusement park.
You're not a Six Flags guy?
I am, but that's one park.
But there's like a decent amount of roller coasters there.
Yeah.
You say decent, man. There's like 4.
No, there's a
Dante-
bunch.
Dante, name them. I know you know them all.
The Goliath, the Bizarro, Mind Eraser, Batman, Mr. Pandemonium.
Colossus or whatever. Thunder
Oh yeah, the wood tracks. They took those ones down. I'm pretty sure.
Don't fucking say that. They're incredible.
The wooden ones, I think they took down finally.
Shit, those are some of my favorites.
Yeah.
Canopy Lake, you didn't do that?
I have, and
Canopy Lake has. Oh, never mind.
That-
I think it
that
was
pa-
Victory.
They have
That-
the corkscrew.
dude, which will just literally like fry your brain with your head
I think you're
slamming
thinking
left
about the
and right.
Mind Eraser
No,
for that.
nope, corkscrew. Instant headache.
Yeah, I don't know. I grew up going to a lot of amusement parks.
Okay, but like, my man, like that's 2 parks around us. When I say like I haven't been on a lot, I'm saying like of maybe 30 roller coasters and different roller coasters in my life.
That's a lot.
That's a lot, Dave.
I don't think that's a lot. With there's a lot out there.
Well,
man.
yeah, because like you're not touring the United States hitting up roller coasters, but 30
No.
roller coasters is a good chunk of roller coasters.
Yeah.
Man.
Okay, well,
I
this
think
is
if you
settle-
hit more than 5,
This is the
Yeah,
best
don't
one.
sell yourself short. Dude. That's all I'm saying.
best one.
This isn't meant to insult you. It's
Although
just like, yeah.
I will say, in the waiting room, there's like this big screen TV that plays like a ride themed, like it's part of the movie basically. It's Bryce Dallas Howard and
Mhm.
Chris whatever his name
Pratt,
is
yeah.
Pratt. They have like this scene and dialogue which is basically ride specific. And if you're standing in that line, you are hearing the same 3 to 5 minute audio looped
Superman's just like that too, isn't it?
20 times.
Superman is like the same audio playing over like and you're in the blistering heat the whole time.
I don't remember them playing audio on the line.
Yeah, they do.
Dude,
They do.
you
'Cause
get
I
to
know
a
they play the audio like on the roller coaster, like they have the speakers in the seats.
you get to a point in this line and everybody is just in unison quoting the damn thing because it's so loud.
But well, it's a scam to get you to pay for the fast pass.
Oh, well, I had the fast pass.
Well, why are you in line? Can't you just reserve?
No, well, there's the fast pass gets you past the whole first part, but then this is like the final line into like getting on the coaster where everybody's intermingled at that point.
Oh.
But you skip a whole lot with
They make you mix with the pours, huh?
Yeah.
Recorded? That's crazy.
Down
Mhm.
with Gem Pop.
Crazy. I'd like a whole separate line for us, sir.
All I had to do was stay at a hotel and you get the fast pass.
Any of them?
Any of like the Universal
Oh.
hotels. Yeah.
When I went to Universal, I don't remember where I stayed. I mean, Disney, I know I stayed at the sports resort.
I stayed at the Hard Rock, it's basically a 3-minute walk to Universal.
I've
Yeah.
never been to Disney
Well,
Or Universal.
or Universal.
damn.
Have you been to Hershey Park?
Nope.
I'm going to Disneyland in 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
First
Oh,
time to California.
Lit. I went to SeaWorld as a young lad.
3 Disney trips in the span of a year.
Yeah, you're turning into one of those Disney adults.
Don't ever
Ugh.
say that.
Creepy.
Don't say that.
This guy's a creep.
You don't say
Yeah.
that.
All right. If you are a Disney creep like Dave, and you know it,
Clap your hands.
and also if you have it,
Do you have it?
Do you have it?
taste.
Taste.
Ooh.
Got it.
Well, you're in the right place because we're dropping all the little taste ditties on you.
Whoa. What? I don't like that.
Didn't you see that this week?
Oh, okay. Well,
Dante saw a Diddy movie.
no, I didn't.
What?
Dante saw a Diddy
no,
movie.
no.
Dante
What?
saw a Diddy movie.
Stroking the fiery walls.
Wait, what?
Yeah, why don't you tell us about Diddy, Dante? That movie about a 13-year-old boy.
This sounds horrible. Honestly, I didn't even take notes when I watched it, but it's pretty much just a coming of age story. I think it's set in like 2003 or 2008. So, it's a lot of themes of like that time, like, MySpace and AIM and all that shit. That was a lot of fun. And basically it's just this kid struggling to kind of find his way to fit in. He's learning how to talk to girls. He's learning how to fit in with friends. He's dealing with bullies. He's trying to fit in with different crowds. And it's just, that's basically the theme of the movie. it's tough seeing, like, I mainly went to see this because I saw it was reviewed really well. Like, it's held pretty high on, like, Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, Letterboxd.
And because you were behind me in the amount of movies you've seen.
And
Well, I remember having seen a
Completely
trailer for
fucking
this.
honest, dude.
I remember having seen a trailer for this and being like, damn, I am kind of interested in that.
can I just interject real quick in case I zoned out? Have
Yeah.
you said the name of the movie?
Diddy.
It's called DiDi.
That's the name of the movie.
Yeah, dude. I told
So
you.
it's DiDi, not Diddy, but
Did-
yeah, whatever.
It's Diddy.
Okay. I thought that was just like a young boy joke.
No.
it's-
Dante really saw a 13-year-old movie called Diddy.
Okay.
A 13-year-old boy in a movie called Diddy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
DI.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Caught up.
But yeah, no, it's like pretty highly rated, and I don't know if I really came off it with that same impression of, oh my god, this is great, but like it wasn't a bad movie. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Recommend? Don't recommend?
I think when it comes to streaming would be the time to check it out. I don't think this is something where you have to go out of your way to go to the theater to see it.
Which theater did you go to? Common?
I went out of my way to go to the theater to see it. I went
I know you did. That's where you're being insincere when you say it wasn't anything to do with the movie. It's like catching up. Like,
fuck off.
Dante, I go through that list every week. I know where things play, dude.
Yeah. So, you know what I have to say? Lenny, you were right. The Framingham Theater is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it's better. I have one gripe though.
What?
The position that they have, the little thing where you lean your seat, is too close up on my arm. So I kept I accidentally hit it all the time. My
What do
seat
you mean?
moves.
Oh, like the tray?
the lean back and like forward your seat thing.
Oh, that's up at the front, just like how it is in South Bay.
No,
I
it's
never
too
hit it by
close,
accident.
brother. It's too close.
Huh.
I had multiple issues with that.
I didn't have an issue,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I like that theater.
Did you get real food?
I did not. Mostly because I was already getting there late.
You could have ordered it to your seat.
I know I could have, but I don't like that whole premise. I feel like you're disrupting the movie.
Yeah. I might try one of their burgers at some point.
Yeah. Saw the kitchen. It looked like they were getting down in there. So
Yeah, it's a big ass kitchen,
yeah.
isn't it? Yeah. it's
I might have to
impressive.
go back and check it out.
Yeah, but for those of you in the Massachusetts area, Framingham has a nice movie theater.
Yeah.
It's just a nice area. Like, I
Yeah.
like pulling up to that one better than I like pulling up to any of the other ones, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely the nicest AMC I've been to so far.
It's huge, too.
Yeah.
Fucking massive. They have an air hockey table, Dave.
What?
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
It's on the right-hand side. You probably went to the
I
left.
went to the left, yeah.
Yeah.
So I walked past the bar and like the weird little seating like dining area.
Mm-hmm.
Dante leans left, everyone.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna have another movie review to do here in a second, but Dave,
Yeah.
what do you got?
So I personally haven't watched all that much this week. I think I've watched 5 more episodes of Batman Cape Crusader, and that's pretty much it.
You see Lady Penguin yet?
That was episode 1.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, they decided that they didn't have enough strong female villains in the Batman world, so they decided to make Penguin a girl.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me. I think it played all right.
Yeah, I just thought it was weird, like, because like they were like, we didn't have enough strong female villains, and they named off like 3 of the more iconic like villains that for me, like Poison Ivy, Catwoman, and Harley Quinn. I'm like, okay, like, well, those are all pretty strong though. I get it, like in volume standpoint, you don't have, but like it's pretty comparable in terms of the big villains that are males in Batman. Like, there's a million villains that are males, but like the ones that are recognizable,
Yeah.
there's 4, 5, right? Like versus 3 for the women. It's not that like swayed one direction or the other.
I agree. But
They
I
had
mean,
to do that.
it's whatever. I didn't really think much of it. Didn't read into it. Didn't.
Yeah, I just saw it pop up and I thought it was interesting.
Still
enjoying it?
Yeah, like I said, it's still giving like old school animated series vibes. And it's basically kind of just been like Monster of the Week type episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Each episode is basically its own standalone story with new introduced like villain storyline, whatever. Batman saves the day, blah blah blah. On to the next episode. So there's been no overarching like storyline for this. It's just kind of you're reading a quick comic of Batman per episode. That's kind of it.
That's pretty cool.
I guess I'll piggyback real quick and say I finished Gotham.
Oh.
Yeah. Bummer. Season 5's only 12 episodes. All the other seasons of the show are like 20 or 21, so it's very abbreviated. But I enjoyed the 5th season because it does like the Batman No Man's Land like story arc, which is one of the few like graphic novel Batmans that I've read that I liked. So it kind of follows along with like all the bridges being blown up to Gotham and like there's no way in or out, and the gangs are kind of overrunning it, and this small police force like trying to hold off all of this, like captained by Gordon, obviously. You start to introduce like Bruce Wayne being way more Batman-esque. The couple things I griped with was like they introduced Bane and he's only around for like an episode and a half, and I kind of wish that if you're going to introduce like a character of that magnitude that he was more involved rather than showing up that end late into the show, because like the show does a good job of like introducing like these iconic villains and them always kind of finding a way back into the show. Like the Joker is killed off like 4 different times in that fucking show.
That's what I was going to ask you. So, where do you rank, what's his name, Cameron Monaghan's version of the Joker?
I mean, it's tough to compare it to the movies because like Ledger's definitely the best, and then I don't have like the same attachment to Nicholas. Personally.
I utterly despise
Yeah,
that version of the Joker.
yeah, like those. That's not my preferred Batman era so much because I think I'm just a little like I was a little too young for it to like hit me that way. So like I thought he's great. There's 2 different iterations that you get in Gotham. There's 2 different versions because they're twin brothers in this. So like I think the original version's is closer to like what I'm familiar with the Joker. Then you have the other brother who's a little bit more methodical, who isn't as like outrageous or insane, who I didn't like as much. But then the last iteration is that brother again, but he's been dropped into like the vat of like chemicals, and I think that version is probably the best of all of them in the show. But you only get that for 1 episode. So the only other thing I'll say is like the show ends with like a 10-year time jump, and you actually see Bruce as Batman in that, which is kind of cool.
After he's disappeared and
he leaves for 10 years. He like leaves Gotham for 10 years, and like you have the evolution of like, when he leaves, him and Selena Kyle are like a thing, but he leaves without saying goodbye to her really, and like leaves her, so like she's kind of now evolved fully into like the Catwoman outfit, and he comes back and it's like the rise of the Joker's back again. But obviously like he helps stop the Joker, but the Joker story, because it's very much more of a Gordon show than it is a Batman show, like it's really about his relationship to Captain Gordon.
Right.
Captain Gordon. He does both. Get you a man who can do
Goes both ways.
Yeah. Yeah, but I really enjoyed Gotham. For a show that took me forever to get into, I really, really enjoyed it.
Well, that's good.
Nice.
Dante, you got anything, man?
Well, we can talk about the other movie that we saw, Dante.
Oh,
Yeah, we can.
you guys went and saw another movie?
We didn't see it together.
We didn't watch it together. No, we're in competition.
Okay.
He was upset because he's fallen behind me, so he took this week to
catch up.
Am I even going to know what this movie is?
No.
Sick.
We saw Cuckoo. Which the main driver for me is like I like horror movies, and also I wanted to see the girl from
Hunter Schafer.
Yeah, from
Euphoria.
In her first like leading role in a movie.
Yeah.
And I don't think she disappointed. I thought she was really good.
She was great in the movie. I just don't think the movie itself was great.
I actually liked the movie quite a bit, but I have been struggling since I got out of seeing it to understand it. Like, I know there's something I'm missing in that movie.
What do you mean by that?
Like, the story's very confusing.
I thought it was pretty easy.
Okay, hit me.
I mean, I guess there are some questions, but like, what are you confused about? It's not like the
tell me
right?
like the whole what the actual plot was.
I mean, the plot is basically like I missed the first 10 minutes, by the way.
No, well, you didn't miss anything towards the plot.
Okay, cool. Basically, like, I don't know. Are we doing spoilers? Yeah, spoilers.
Taste test.
Cool. Her mom dies. She has to go move with her dad and his like new family, and they're in like the German Alps or something, and they're, I guess everybody kind of knows but doesn't say anything. It's like this thing we won't speak of about this like siren or banshee that comes out at night.
Well, it's like they're all in cahoots because they're testing people.
The dad wasn't part of that.
No, but their family wasn't, but everybody else there was pretty much in cahoots.
Yeah. And it's not even that they're testing people. It's basically they're just trying to find new hosts for the creature to plant their offspring into.
But like, so they've developed this whole idea based on the cuckoo bird, because the cuckoo bird lays its eggs in other birds' nests and has the bird
Raise their
child, and then they come back once the child is like grown and take it back, basically.
Yeah.
But like the storytelling to get to that point is like that at I feel like with the way horror movies, and this might just be the way I've been trained this year with horror
this
movies.
is also Euro horror, so like
yeah,
I
it's
think
a little
that's
different.
where
Yeah,
it's like I think they called it art horror.
but it's like I'm looking for like the further messages, because like there's just been a few horror movies this year that have come out.
But this isn't a Shyamalan movie.
No, but like I also I saw the TV Glow.
Yeah, true.
I just talked about The Beast Within.
Yeah.
Like there's just been these movies that have had like some like it's all like symbolism
message.
or something.
Yeah.
You know, so like I'm like there's something in this movie that I'm missing, that I still feel like right now I am missing, that they were trying to tell me, because there's a lot of dialogue in this movie.
Yeah.
That when they're talking about the cuckoo bird and shit like that, it's just going over my head. Like I was lost at points during the dialogue. But I thought that it had like actual pretty good jump scares in it. I liked like the kind of the third act, like in the hospital, I thought was all done pretty well.
Oh, like the final fight.
And I thought the guy who plays the bad guy is like fantastic.
I think that's Dan Stevens or something like
that.
Yeah.
He was very, very good.
Yeah, him and Hunter Schafer were definitely the best parts of this movie.
Yeah. Also like the little girl, like her sister, like that's another part I didn't really understand that much.
What didn't you understand?
Well, like why she was so important. Like she's the first one they've successfully done this with.
Maybe. I guess that part I'm a little unclear on, like where they were looking to get, I guess part of when they reclaimed the children after they're like raised or whatever is they have to repair them with the original mother to like, I don't know, some sort of ascension or some shit. So they found out she was one of the planted offspring and they were trying to get her back with the mother.
Yeah. Confusing, dude.
I also don't understand why the mother, I guess, was chasing Hunter when she really had nothing to do with it. I forget what her name was. I think it was like Geraldine or something like that.
No, it's Gretchen. Yeah, like why she was so pivotal to like that. Yeah, that she just kept showing up for her, basically.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because she's in proximity to the sister, but even before that, she was showing up. I don't know. It's like it's a movie that builds on tension pretty well, and I thought it had some good scares in it. And
I think the first half of the movie is significantly better than the second half. I think the build up to it leaves you really like engaged with it, but then kind of the way it plays out kind of just feels like it falls apart. Like
even the guy who's helping her, like I thought his motives like at first were really easy to follow, and then I thought he became very confusing to me in the second half of the movie.
But then you find out it's because his wife was killed when they were on vacation there when they tried to plant one of the offspring in her.
Yeah, but then like he's still so dead set on killing the little girl.
Because she's one of them.
I don't know.
He doesn't think these creatures should exist.
I don't know.
I also don't understand why they were so dead set on preserving them. But
I did like the movie.
I liked it, but I didn't think it was great.
I put it in at 2.5 stars.
What did I give it? I also gave it 2.5 stars.
And I have it at 33.
Ooh, beat me by a little bit. I'm at 34.
Yeah.
So I put it right behind Abigail, right in front of the Watchers.
Right behind Abigail, right in front of the Watchers, and The Exorcism.
I mean, The Exorcism is a little further back for me, but yeah.
Yeah, I get it. But yeah, so we're in the same area as far as movies, but a little different on numbers.
Yeah.
Cool. You guys watch anything else?
I think I did. Oh, I watched. So I rewatched Need for Speed. Hadn't
Were we
seen it in a while.
Talking about that last week.
Yeah, we were talking about Kid
Yeah,
Cudi's
we were
game.
talking about
Yeah.
it. So when I got home and I forget what streaming platform I ended up scrolling past it on.
We were talking about Kid Cudi.
His dick,
Yeah. Oh,
specifically.
Yeah.
you just said that, but I didn't even hear you say it. Yeah.
It's worth repeating.
But yeah, I rewatched that and again, really enjoyed it. Still holds up great. Wish they would make another one. Be awesome.
Is that with the dude from
Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Yep. And Dakota Johnson.
Madam Web.
She's also in that.
Yeah.
Anything else, Dante, that you want to retread for us?
You sound like you're waiting for something.
Well, no, I just Need for Speed. I mean, dude, we talked about the movie 17 times on this podcast.
Oh, well, I watched it again and then it got me into like car movies, and then there was a recommended for a car movie from the 80s called The Wraith.
Okay.
You ever heard of it?
No.
Starring Charlie Sheen.
Oh, nice.
I mean, long story short, this this group of like street racers, racing for pinks. I know you like that. They they end up killing this kid, and then he comes back as a wraith, and he has this like super crazy car, and he kills them with it. Yeah, it's one of those like culty movies, but it was one of those that's so bad it's good. I liked it.
Winning.
It doesn't sound like a racing movie.
It doesn't sound like a racing movie at all.
It's very much a racing movie.
Okay.
Yeah, they race cars in it quite a bit.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, Dante, any other exciting
Any other
movies you want to tell us about?
Brain Busters.
Nah, that's about it.
Okay. I don't have anything else. I did want to ask though, really quickly, should I watch the TV show Lost?
You've never seen it?
No.
That sounds like something you would watch.
It definitely sounds. Yeah, you should. If
Like I know what it's about.
you thoroughly enjoy just like binging shows, there's a lot of this to binge, and I think it's. I don't know. I think the best part of watching that show was always like the wait for that next week and talking to people about what you think is going to happen.
Yeah.
You're going to binge through the show, so all of your questions. Actually, no. I'm not going to say all of your questions will be answered because that show does not answer.
I saw some of the last season when it aired, when it did like the time jump or whatever and shit like that, right? Like,
but you'll have so many less cliffhangers by the fact that you get to just move on and watch the next episode every time.
But if each episode ends on a cliffhanger like that, this sounds like a lot more sleepless nights for you.
Sure. I'm up for it.
Oh, your game. All right.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm done with the TV show, so now it's on to, like, what do I watch next? The other thing I was going to tell you, Dante, that you should watch, have you watched Where the Crawdads Sing yet?
No.
Oh, that's on my list, man. Daisy?
Yeah, because I forgot that she's in it.
Oh, okay.
I saw that in the theaters.
Yeah,
it's
I
good.
remember that.
That's been on my list for years.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And she's obviously...
Is that, what streaming platform is that on?
Netflix?
It might be on like two of them, honestly.
It might be a Hulu. It's on either Netflix or Hulu. It's one of the two. That's where I've been looking for everything recently. So yeah, Where the Crawdads Sing. Check it out.
Oh, also, actually, just to kind of piggyback off that a little bit, as of today, which is August 13th, Twisters already on streaming.
Yeah, 3 weeks post coming out. Yeah, I saw that today.
Christ.
Yeah.
And it is still making money. I think it still made like $7 million in theaters last week.
Well, it should be seen in the theater if you haven't seen it yet. I think if you've seen it, now you want to watch it again, like buy it, but see it in theaters for the first time. 100%. Okay. So before our camera battery dies, let's wrap this up here. Yeah?
Wrap that shit up, B.
So let us know what you thought of any of the multiple movies that we talked about. Were you a Borderlands fan? Did you go to Girls' Night Out? Are you cuckoo for Schaefer's nuts? No, that's a bad joke.
Whoa,
that's a bad joke.
No.
Whoops.
No.
Whoopsie. Oh, man.
That didn't sound like an accident.
God. Shucks.
Jesus Christ.
Huh. You don't get that one, Dave.
I do
We'll
not.
explain it to you after.
Okay.
Jesus
Christ.
Until next week. Actually, real quick, like, comment, share, and subscribe. I get it if you don't after that. That's my bad. But if you want more edgy content like that one, make sure to come back next week.
Oh god.
Until then, we bid you fale adieu. Peace out. Bang. Bang.
Ski ski.
For those with good taste.